Hi, I'm Gerard Christopher, and I'm the next guest on Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
We are off on another episode of On Screen and Beyond with episode 790. On Screen and Beyond is the show that brings you an interview with a guest from the movie, TV, or music industry, and they share their story with us. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak, and this week, actor Gerard Christopher is our guest, and he takes us through his career and back to the late 80s and early 90s when he starred as Superboy on the syndicated TV show Superboy. And Gerard will join us in just a minute. But first, I want to remind you that I have over 790 guest interviews for you, and you can watch them or listen to them on multiple platforms. You can watch the episodes from the past year on Spotify and on YouTube, along with clips on Spotify and shorts on YouTube. And if you listen to the podcast, you can listen to all 790 episodes of On Screen and Beyond on Apple Podcast, as well as on Amazon. Your Alexa will play us, and also Podbeam, and the list goes on and on. I don't have time to name them all. Pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts, that's where you can go. And I hope you check them all out. Enjoy every one of them. And if you would like to contact me to make a suggestion for a guest or whatever, you can send me an email at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. I always love hearing from you I also look for your comments on YouTube and Spotify. Love that, and everywhere else. And please follow On Screen and Beyond on Instagram, Facebook, and share my posts when I post them, when I put up the latest episodes and everything, so your friends can also enjoy our guests. And I'm sure they'll find somebody in that 790 episodes that they really enjoy listening to. And I think that's it. It is time for our guest, Gerard Christopher, next, right here on Screen and Beyond. Today's guest on Screen and Beyond is an actor who has been seen on Silk Stockings and Melrose Place, Days of Our Lives, and Sunset Beach, but he also starred as the younger version of the Man of Steel in the 80s and 90s TV show Superboy. It's Gerard Christopher. Gerard, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you being here. Just got back from the gym. I had my protein shakes. I'm ready to go.
All right. Now, obviously, you do head for the gym often. I take it. You look like you're all.
That's an old habit. I've been working out since I'm about 12.
Yeah, it's a good habit to have, actually. Gerard, Superboy and Superman and the superheroes, especially Superman. What do you think makes people so, enthralled about seeing him and knowing about his life and all that type of stuff? What do you feel?
Now, you talk about him, the actor, or him, the character?
The character of Superman, Superboy.
I mean, you know what? He was the first one, right? From way back in the 30s. And I think he's special because, there's Batman, there's all these other ones that people love, but Superman can kind of do everything that everybody wishes that they could do if they were going to put it all together. All right, he can fly, he's got X-ray vision, he's got superpowers, he's got all these things. And he's also turned into an American icon. Now, I know that recently there's like a big woke progression in the Warner Brothers and the guys who are doing the movies now. They used to say he stands for truth, justice, and the American way, but now it's like, I don't even know what the saying is, but it's like he supports everybody in the world or something. But I think he has been this very unique, like, American superhero that everybody kind of could believe in, could admire, could kind of wish they were. And you kind of, with the world being kind of as crappy as it is sometimes, you kind of wish there was a real Superman around that could like help us out, right? So I think there are a lot of reasons, and people also get into it when they're really young with comic books and all this other stuff. So, and then it kind of just snowballs. One, parent might get their kid into it. When I go meet fans and stuff at Comic Cons, you find a lot of parents that were really into it, then they get their kids into it, and it just keeps going.
Yeah. Now, those of my audience who are listening to the show on the podcast audio side, you're missing out because if you notice, I noticed behind you, Gerard, you have a Superman cape
Mhm.
and also looks like Superman's whole outfit. Are those the actual outfits that you wore as Superboy?
Oh yeah, and I've got more on the other side. This is my theater room in my house, which I turned into like a little Superman museum kind of thing. But yeah, I've got this stuff that caught the cape right here that I'm pointing to. That's like one
Mhm.
of my favorite pieces. That's kind of a very unique one that they made for season 2 and 3. And what you're looking at over there is my season 1, which was season 2 of the show. Full outfit over there. Over there, I have a season 3 and 4 outfit. I have boots. I have all kinds of stuff.
Wow. That's really cool that you were able to get that because now I'm not sure, but nowadays don't the studios hoard all this stuff because they want to get it out on
They do now because
eBays or auctions or
yeah,
whatever?
they got smart. They got smart. They realized, hey, people want this stuff. It's valuable. And, now they're not letting people get their hands on it. The last seasons of the show, I was also one of the producers. So I was kind of in a unique position to kind of say, hey, I'm grabbing this and I'm grabbing that. And I'm
Right.
grabbing this. So I got most of the good stuff. I mean, a couple of my things were stolen, believe it or not, from the set, like the last day that I was there. I know who
Oh,
did it.
wow.
Unfortunately, you think when you have this big group of people you're working with that they're all tight, but we had one guy on the set that was a thief. he
Jeez.
stole my sister-in-law's handbag when she visited the set, and they're just it's just the
Wow.
way it works. But so long story short, I got most everything. So occasionally there were other pieces like floating around, but I said, oh, that was stolen, that was stolen, I know who took that one, I know who took that one. But
Jeez.
yes, I did get a treasure trove of stuff.
Now, when you had the different things that you were doing on the show, uh, sometimes we hear that they have, a certain cape for this and a certain suit for that.
Oh
Was
yeah,
that the case with you too, that you had different uniforms that you wore?
yeah, yeah. Well, you're fans that are into, say, Christopher Reeve and the old iterations of this show. My show was the first television iteration of the film that Ilya Salkin made with Christopher Reeve. So the same guys flew me, the same people made our suits. Um, the flying suit that I wore to fly on the wires was Chris's suit. It had little holes for the grommets on the side. It was a very lightweight cape. Like this is a wool cape, but the other one was a very lightweight cape, so it kind of fluttered in the wind really easily. So there were multiple versions of it. They also, if there was some instance where like my suit needed to get blown up, they'd make another version of it, or they just take one that they thought was a little worn out and they blow that one up, or burn it or whatever was happening to it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I did use a bunch of Christopher Reeve's stuff, which was kind of neat.
Wow.
You know,
Yep.
boots were custom made. I still have those. Things like that. The suits were custom made at Disney. That the Disney people did those. But yeah, and this kind of a special one. It's got some padding up there to give you like a square look. If you guys or if any of you people remember like Christopher Reeve and George Reeves before him, their suits, their cape would just kind of sit on their shoulders and it would lay very flat.
Hmm.
This one has like a little bit of padding so that in the back it kind of gives a fuller look, and it's just a different way they went. So this is like one of my faves.
Yeah. Now, were you a
But
fan?
here's my fave.
Were you a fan of uh, the Christopher Reeves show and the movies rather, and even the George Reeves show?
Oh, big time, big time. The George Reeve shows, I saw all of them as a kid. I saw all of them multiple times as a kid. Christopher Reeve's movies, yeah, definitely. I mean, the first one was really great. I think even the second one, they started letting another group, start making them after that, and they started kind of going off the deep end with the stories and stuff. But the first ones that were done by the Salkins, I mean, I really loved those. I actually had the good fortune to meet Christopher Reeve. socially at a party in New York after he did his first film. I think he was there with his wife, or I think so. And then I met him again when he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which was like a real honor to be there.
Hi, my name is Brandon Routh, and I'm on Screen and Beyond.
Now, meeting him, did that inspire you to want to play Superman? And sometimes in your career.
You know what? It wasn't the first thought, right? So
Yeah.
like, I met this guy, and I said, "Oh man, I'm going to play some other iteration of Superman." I didn't think that's going to happen. I will tell you that, when I was growing up and when I was a younger guy, people used to say, "Hey, you look like Superman." I would go, "Oh, okay, okay," But that turned into, when I went to the casting session, that I'm sure that's why Ilya Salkin picked me. He said, "Hey, this guy, he can say the lines and he looks like him." So I guess that's how it happened, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think all the people who've played Superman have that look. I don't know, the Superman look. I don't know what, you know.
It's a clean cut look, generally speaking, right? He's got to be like generally fit and be clean cut. I guess that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as a kid growing up, did you want to be an actor? Is that was your goal,
Yeah,
or did you want to do something else?
I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. Not a clue. When I was young, I just kind of fell into acting and other stuff. I just kind of fell into it. It was completely accidental.
Hmm.
Completely accidental.
Yeah. So what eventually kicked you into it? What was it?
Um, at the time, I was one of these guys that was found on the streets in New York, and they kind of got me into modeling. And from modeling, they started getting me into like TV commercials. Then I started studying acting, and at some point in that career, uh, my agents in New York said, "Hey, you know what? People in LA want to see you, so why don't you go out to LA?" So I went to LA, and there were several agents that I met with, and I signed with one, and that was it. I just went out there and I stayed out there.
Hmm. Now, when you
That was
were
that.
when you were in high school, did you act in plays, or were you out playing
Yeah.
sports?
I think I would have been terrified to act in a play in high school. I saw those guys that did it, and it just looked like a lot of work. And every day they were out there. The difference, obviously, with a play is you rehearse, you rehearse, and then it goes on, right? So hopefully it's like pitch perfect when you do it. When you're acting in television or film, you're going to rehearse mostly on your own, and then you're going to do it. And you're either going to do it and do a great job when the camera's rolling, or you're not. And so it's kind of more on you, I think, in that sense. And um, for some reason, that didn't seem kind of scary to me. And it didn't seem, and I like the kind of immediacy of it. You study your lines, you go in that day, boom, you knock it out, and it's done, and then you're on to something else. I kind of like that. I still do. And
Yeah.
so definitely, I wasn't doing anything in high school like that.
Now, what about getting the role of Superboy? How did that all come about? Of course, John was doing the first season, and then you came in on the second. So how did that come about?
Well, that I didn't know at the time, but the first season of the show was doing really poorly. The ratings were like in the toilet, and the show was going to get canceled. So they were pulling the financing from the show, and Elia pushed them to keep it going with another actor, which I think is like incredibly ballsy of them to do,
Mm.
because like, who's going to say yes to that? But apparently they did. So then they went casting for it, and I didn't hear about the show the first season that it was cast. I mean, I wish I had. Then there would have been all that continuity. I would have started right in the beginning. But so I got in there and went on a normal audition like you normally do. I met him, and he seemed like really positive, like, he really liked me. And I said, "Wow, this looks interesting." But at that, I was never like the kind of person that got too excited about an audition, because I figured, actors have to have a thick skin. You don't get most of the jobs that you audition for. So you have to kind of just like go for it, try your best, and then kind of walk away from it. So I remember getting called back for what they call a pre-test deal, which is they allegedly like want several actors for the job. So they give you each a contract and they have you all audition on camera. And then based upon that audition, one of you gets the job. Now, the reason they do that, because you might say, hey, why do you do that? It's basically to keep your price down. So if they tell you right away, you're our guy, we want you, your agents are in a really good position to say, hey, I want a lot of money for my actor. So I guess this is done maybe more with lower, you know, budget shows and things like that. So what they did was they had me audition alongside one other guy. He was there at the same time I was, but everybody there knew that I had the job already because they were telling me. And I was like, really? I got the job? I don't know. I don't know. So that's the way it happened. They kind of just pulled one over my eyes. They kind of made it look like there was competition for the job when there really wasn't.
Yeah. Now, any idea if there was, you hear about actors trying out for auditioning for parts and things like that. Was there anybody who was either famous at that time or eventually went to be famous and that didn't get the job?
Not that I know of. I have no idea who else auditioned for the job. No
Yeah.
idea. Nobody. No idea. I mean, I've auditioned for jobs with famous people. I mean, I auditioned once with Tom Cruise for Risky Business,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was in the same waiting room as I was. I remember him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Huh.
you meet people when you audition.
Yeah. Yeah. But back then, I mean, Tom Cruise wasn't known at all. I mean,
He was a little bit known because he did a film before that, where he was like a kid in a military academy or something. And I mean, the guy's amazing, and he's got amazing energy, and I'm sure they just saw that and they said, "Hey, this guy's amazing," and they went with him.
yeah.
I'm sure they made the right choice.
So when you were getting this part and you ended up getting it and they called you and everything, you must have been over the moon with that. I mean, just so excited.
I was, but actually I wasn't too, and I'll tell you why. It's not because of this job, it was because of any job. It was like when I got this, I was like the oldest person to ever get booked to play Superman. They were all like in their 20s, with the exception, I think, of George Reeves. So I was playing Superboy at an age when everyone else was playing Superman was younger than me, if that makes
Wow.
any sense.
Yeah.
So when I started this, I was like 30 years old. And I was literally thinking, although I was working as an actor, I was literally thinking of getting out of it. And the reason was I thought, if you don't hit it really big by 30 in this business, you're probably not gonna. So maybe it's a good time for me to get out of it. And I actually remember having a conversation with my dad, who gave me this very sage advice at the time. He said, I've known you I know your whole life, and you've wanted to do this for the last, several years. And it's something that you're working really hard at. It seems like the barrier to entry is huge. He said, the barrier to entry in other things like business is not big. He said, so if you have this opportunity, why don't you play it out and see where it goes? Because you could always get up and do something else later if you decide later. So I just thought he gave me some incredibly good advice. For a parent, I think that's amazing too, because I would say most parents don't want their kids to be in the film business for a lot of reasons. But I had this great opportunity on the table, and my dad actually helped me push it over the top and say, "Hey, I'm going to do that." Because surprisingly, I didn't say yes right away.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't. I made him wait a little bit.
Huh. Wow. Now, was that because you were jockeying to try to get more money or something, or just you
No,
just
no,
weren't
just for
sure?
that reason. I literally wasn't sure if I still wanted to be an actor at the time. I mean,
Wow.
honestly, that was it.
Huh. Wow. Well, lucky for us, you decided to.
No, yeah, it was fun. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Now, with all the shows you did, I mean, they had you doing everything on that show. Is there any one particular show that sticks in your mind, and you really like that episode or anything like that?
Oh, there were a few, but I really was crazy about doing this one called Body Swap because Superboy, his brain got switched with Lex Luthor, and it's always more fun to play a bad guy. So even though I was dressed like Superboy, I got to be Lex Luthor,
Hmm.
and that was fun. I mean, that guy has too much fun. It's not fair. Too much fun.
I've talked to hundreds of actors and everything, and they all say the same thing. They could be the nicest guy in the world when I talk to them, but they love to play the villain. They just love that.
Well, they have all the great writing. They have all the great stuff to do. I mean, when you're a good guy, I mean, it's there's not a lot you can do, right? Hey, lady, can I help you cross the street? I literally couldn't even sweat in my costume. So it was like, because the Man of Steel doesn't sweat. I mean, it
Right.
was the restriction. I couldn't do this. I couldn't cross my arms because they didn't want like little like wrinkles in my suit. So there were so many restrictions being the good guy and being that character. So I really look forward to like all these guys that came in as the guest stars. The guest stars are usually bad guys. So they had all the fun.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not all the fun. I mean, it was really fun for me too, but
Yeah. But they don't get to fly though. That's
no, they didn't. But that wasn't always so fun. I mean,
Hey, this is Mark Cuban, and if you love TV, listen to Brian Zemrak and On Screen and Beyond. It's the ultimate television podcast.
one time they flew me, we were on a bridge and they had like a derrick, like a kind of a, I don't know what you call, I guess a derrick. And they kind of put me on the wires, brought me up high, and then swung me over the side of the bridge. So I was like hundreds of feet off the ground. And I
Jeez.
remember this is in Florida, and then I could see a storm coming. And Orlando is like they call it the lightning capital of America or of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see like lightning strikes way, way in the distance. I go, guys, get me down, get me down. And my guy who's supposed to be my safety officer is way down below, and I see him goofing off with some girl sitting on his lap or something. And I'm like screaming, hey, get me down, get me down. I'm on wires and on this derrick that's metal.
Oh,
It's
geez.
like I'm cooked. So get me down. So I mean, that was the only time I said this is a little hairy. I mean, but it was super fun. I mean, to fly was so cool.
Right.
I would just dip my legs a little bit like this, and that was their cue to pull me up. And I remember just going up high, going like to the top of the building, doing very, very cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? They never asked, "You afraid of heights?"
Well,
I mean,
that would have been a good question.
it would have been a good thing for them to know up front, right? I mean, I think right after I was hired, the first day that I got there, they brought me into the soundstage we were going to be in, and they just had me flying from one end to the other like this, and it was like a good 300 feet easily, maybe more, maybe 3 to 500 feet like this. And that was kind of fun. That was fun. It was very taxing though when you had to do like green screen flying
Mhm.
because they would hold you like this and you'd have to be like holding yourself like that, just supported by these little kind of things that are attached to your sides. And if anybody has ever done like that kind of an exercise where you're laying on the ground and you're pulling up your arms and your feet at the same time, that's what I'd have to do, and I'd have to do it for most of like 30 minutes sometimes, where they would just say, "Okay, Kate, you take a break for a sec," and then I'd be able to like collapse my body for a second, and then you'd have to do it again. So it was kind of that was tough, but
Wow.
it was always fun. I'm not complaining. It was always a great time.
Yeah, but that must have been a heck of a core workout. I mean,
Well, core or back, yeah, I guess core and back, yeah, it
yeah. I mean,
was crazy.
used to hear stories of the George Reeves that he had like a plank
Yeah,
under him, and
yeah.
he was able to lay on that
Lucky him.
yeah. But to stay like that for that length of time, boy, you got to be in shape. You can't just be.
Flying is tough. Was tough.
Yeah. Did you ever get hurt, injured?
Uh, that's a good question. I mean, once again, my safety officer not doing his job. I was in this episode where I was in this like chamber, and they gas me in the chamber. And what they do is it was literally a chamber that they made like a rectangular thing that I was standing in, and it had a double compartment. So in other words, in front of the camera were two pieces of plexiglass. So there was double plexiglass all around it, and they only put the kind of the whatever they were using, peanut oil or whatever it was, in the side that was like between the front glass and the other one. So in my interior space was not supposed to get all fogged up, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know if they made it well or made it properly or whatever, but this thing got all the stuff got inside and they couldn't see. And this stuff knocked me out and I fell down and I think I destroyed that scene. So
Oh, geez.
hurt, not so much, but did I ever get hurt? Not on this show. I mean, I did another show once where they ran me over with the camera truck. That wasn't
Wow.
super.
How
Yeah,
did that?
that was a show called Silk Stockings, and I was
Yes, I
the
remember
guest
that.
star, so I was the bad guy, and I'm running away like this, and I'm looking back at the guy who's chasing me, and the camera truck was in between the two of us. One camera is looking at me from the back, and the other one is looking at him from the front as he's running after me. And these guys must have been looking at the back at him, at their star, and they just hit me, and boom, I went under the truck. So fortunately, I didn't get messed up. I remember getting cuts and stuff like that, but that could have been a disaster.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I didn't report that to SAG or my agent or anything. And I'm sure the producer was like really relieved that I didn't, because I don't think that would have gone too well for them.
Yeah, I would say that that would have been a little
It was
wow.
crazy though. I was lucky, man. I was really lucky.
Yeah, geez. Now on Superboy,
Uh,
was there anything that you ever said, no, I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that. You can't make
nah,
me.
not really. You know what? You usually like when you have that kind of a thing, like Tom Cruise does all of his stunts, right?
Right.
He's nuts. You kind of want to always kind of rise up to the plate, stand up to the plate and do it. So if they say, look, you need to go through this glass. The first season, they have the stunt guys do a lot of that stuff. And you know what? They do that too, because the stunt guys want to get paid and all this stuff. The more the show progresses and they see that you can do this stuff, they tend to like have the stunt guys do less and you do more just because it's faster.
Mhm.
Because they have to get a stunt guy dressed, they have to get a stunt guy in your makeup and all this stuff, everything. And then they've got to shoot him doing it. Then they've got to shoot you kind of looking like you're doing it. So it just saves a ton of time if
Mhm.
you can do it yourself. So over the course of like doing stuff, you end up doing most of your stunts.
Any regrets about being Superboy? I mean, a lot of people you hear about when they do the Superman curse or anything like that.
No, no. I mean, I just regret we didn't go on further. We wanted to. The show had good ratings. Um, we wanted to keep going, and Warner Brothers actually cut us off and made us stop. And the way that they weren't even paying for the show, but they made us stop because they had to approve our scripts. So they had the idea for the show Lois and Clark in the next year or two, and because of that, they said we want to cut you off. So that's my only regret, that that had nothing to do with me, but they cut us off.
Yeah.
We would have gone on. We would have gone on for, I'm sure, several more seasons of that show.
Yeah. Now, because you can never believe everything you see on the internet, but is it
Uh-huh.
true that you tried out for the role of Clark Kent Superman on Lois and Clark?
Yeah, that's for sure. For sure. I did. They didn't give me a contract, but they said, when I was there, the day I was there and I auditioned, it's yours. It's like we found our guy, you're our guy. Um, and then, as the day progressed, because they kept me there and they're doing stuff, they're talking to people. One of the producers, who I assumed was like maybe the head producer, he sat me down alone and he goes, "So who are you?" And he's just like making a conversation, and he picked up my picture and resume and he looked at it, and he saw Superboy, because he didn't know who I was. He, like, before this, he didn't know that I played Superman. He went nuts, and he just threw my picture down on the table and he says, "You've done this already." And he goes, "I wanted somebody new. I wanted somebody fresh who like hasn't worked a lot and blah, blah, blah." And I said, I said, I mean, given what I know now, I probably would have tried to talk him out of that and say, "Hey, you know what? My show had like 4 million viewers, households a week watching my show. Isn't that a good like start for your show?"
Right. Yeah.
And my show was Superboy. And at the end of my show, I turned into Superman. It's like I became a man, and your show is about Superman. So it doesn't that kind of work? So he didn't see it that way, or I didn't actually have that conversation with him. I mean, if I could do that all over again, I would have at least had that conversation
Yeah.
and try to get something like that happening.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against Dean Cain. I enjoyed him as that character,
No, he's a great guy. No,
but for like you say, it just makes sense. The progression just moves right into you being Superman. I mean, it would have been perfect. And like
whatever.
you say, an audience already there, but you know,
Wasn't meant to be in some other multiverse universe. I did. So
Yeah.
Somewhere I did it.
Yeah. Now, Gerard, do you have any projects that you're working on you can let us know about, or are you going to be at any conventions or anything that people can see you at, or anything like that?
Um, I have several really interesting things going on. I mean, conventions, I'm always like doing something here or there. So my agent for that is working on several things.
Hmm.
Um, I would say if people were interested in that stuff, look online because I always announce them on my Instagram, which is real Gerard Christopher, just real Gerard Christopher. I would love to have your people swing on by and and sign up for my Instagram. I'm also doing something that I'm incredibly excited about, and also like a little scared. I'm starting an app, which is an entertainment app, and starting about a week from today, my guys who are the developers, the guys who actually write the code, are going to be writing the code for this, and this is something hopefully you're all going to hear about soon. And if you hear about it, maybe I'll get back on your podcast and announce it to your folks,
Yeah, I'd love
or
to have
or
you
the
back.
people that are on my Instagram would know about it. So try to get on my Instagram, and it's not just for people that like are fans of mine. If you're a fan of any TV show or any actor, you are gonna love this app. So I'll just throw that out there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, it's a nice teaser. And yeah, I definitely would love to have you back to talk about that once you release it and everything. I think it would be an interesting thing to hear about. Always interested in hearing what people are doing.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, Gerard, I thank you so much for taking the time to join us. But before we finish up, one last quick question.
Yeah.
When you sit back and relax, what's your
Mhm.
favorite TV shows now and of the past? And what's your favorite movies now and of the past?
I would say right now, like right now, my favorite show is The Dutton Ranch. I'm
Yeah.
kind of into that. I love it. Acting's great. I love the scenery. Although I preferred it before when it was Yellowstone with the Montana scenery. Favorite shows of the past. That's a really tough one. I mean, as a little kid, I used to watch Lost in Space with Bill Mumy, who was a guest on my show. I used to watch Mr. Ed. Nobody knows any of these shows.
I do.
What I watched, I'm trying to think what I watched after this. I used to, of course, watch George Reeves shows, like all of them.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm sure I'm missing. I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie, and that's her on
Barbara,
there.
yes.
Barbara Eden. I used to watch the Munsters, and that's one of the Munsters there. Um, what else? That's these are Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen from the George Reeves show. There's a guy who is terrific who did a show called that's Ron Ely. He passed like last year, and
Yes,
he did
Tarzan.
Tarzan. So
Yeah.
I didn't see Tarzan. That's the only show that I didn't see. But there are a bunch of shows that I loved when I was younger. You
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah, you mentioned the Adventures of Superman, and I actually had Jack Larson, who played Jimmy Olsen, on the show years ago. He was
lucky
on.
you, lucky
Yeah,
you. What a
he was
great guy.
fascinating guy. Yeah.
Great guy, great guy. I really loved him, and we had a great time. I mean, it was so amazing seeing him and her together on my show. It was like being in the old George Reeves show. It was just really weird,
Yeah.
and they looked so great. It's like they didn't age poorly or anything. They looked young, and it was just kind of surreal to have them there. It was like, this is great.
Yeah. Well, Gerard, once again, I thank you so much for taking the time to share with us, and best of luck with
Likewise,
your.
likewise.
Yeah.
And I hope your fans can swing by my Instagram and say hi. You'll get me charged up to do more fun stuff on my Instagram.
There he is, Gerard Christopher. I thank him for joining us here at On Screen and Beyond, and thank you for watching or listening. And I hope you will join me each week as we bring you an amazing guest as we see the end of our 19th year coming to an end pretty soon. And, we've got to get it through the summer first, but in September, we start our 20th season here at On Screen and Beyond, and got a lot of great guests coming your way. So Always going to be bringing you more and more, and I hope you enjoy them. And tell a friend about On Screen and Beyond. It seems that, September's rushing toward us. Not too quick, though. Summer just started. So anyways, that's a wrap for this episode. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.